G'day legends, DIY mastering just got a whole lot easier with Musik Hack's Master Plan plugin. This plugin has all the bells and whistles that you need for pulling a really nice polished master quickly. So let's check it out. This is Master Plan over here. You can see pretty straightforward sort of user interface. We've got a 3-band EQ. This is our big gain knob in the middle. We've got a width knob, a couple of filter options for auditioning the track in different scenarios. So like NS10, phone, band, mono, dim. You can really hear what the track sounds like with different filters over it as if it's playing through a phone or some NS10 style speakers. A couple of tone shaping buttons down the bottom, thick, clean, multi-smooth, calm, and tape. And we're gonna run through all of this and check it out. We've got bypass, true peak, and unity buttons at the top, and then input and output trims. And then when we go over to the back of the plugin, we've got oversampling. It starts in 4 times oversampling, but you can kick it up to 8 times if you need or lower. And then you can change the color and all sorts of stuff back here. So let's test this out. I've got a bit of a pop punk track here, and we're gonna see what we can do with this plugin. Let's start by boosting this volume knob, see how loud we can get it before it starts to fall apart.
Is this it? I'm falling in circles around my head. The signs of regression, that's what I thought were over. A reflex core, obscured independence, reminding me I am lost, morose and embarrassing. Cry, oh. You said you're falling all the way down, landing on hollow knees.
Around there sounded pretty good to me, about 10 dBs boosted in. You could push it a little further, but I think this is a good spot for us to start and then apply some more processing, and then we can see maybe we can boost it a bit further later. But that's still hitting around -5 LUFS, so that's pretty loud. So I don't feel like we need to squeeze it too much more than that. Otherwise we do start to lose a bit of dynamics and it does just become a big wall of sound. Let's see what the width knob sounds like.
On hollow knees, yeah, it's alright to fall sometimes. Landing on fallen leaves from fallen trees, yeah. Heading for a way to come.
So big difference between mix and our mastered sound so far. Obviously a lot of it's just volume at the moment. We will check this all at the end with our unity knob and make sure it's all sounding better than how it started. The unity knob, basically whatever we boost in with the gain, it pulls down so we're not listening to how loud it gets. We're just hearing the effects of what all this extra gain and limiting is adding to the track. So for example, like it sounds pretty good when we bypass. It doesn't really sound like it's damaging the track in any way. Now, let's have a look at our 3-band EQ and see what we can add here. I just realized the thick knob was on, but it's on 0%, so don't worry, that's not adding anything at the moment. Let's just turn that off.
Landing on fallen leaves from fallen trees, yeah. Heading for a way to
I think this track benefits from a little bit of low end. It sounds pretty good.
call it back from slowly fading.
Tiny bit of high shelf sounds nice, sort of sweetening the top end.
All the ways are not that honest. Every single last one. This isn't starting out.
Got our low mids, mid-range, and our high mids. Plenty of options for shaping this. I don't know, EQ sounding pretty nice. Now let's check out some of these buttons down the bottom here. We've got our thick button. What this does is it adds a saturation circuit, which adds a bit of thickness to the track. This is kind of like transformer saturation. That's what it sounds like to me.
Your sun is slowly fading. You said your sun is slowly fading.
I like what that's adding to the track. It's sort of thickening it up nicely. All right, so the clean button, this removes a little bit of low mid build up. Can open the mix up a little bit. Let's check out what this does. Let's put it on 0 and then boost it up. I really like what both of those things are doing. The thick is definitely thickening it up, adding some nice saturation to the track, gluing it a little bit more. The clean is subtle. It's not like a really big cut to those low mids, but what it's doing sounds quite nice. Then we have a multi-band compression here. So if you feel like you need to compress your low mids or highs a little bit, then you can do that here. You have no control over the bands, but all you can do is play with this and just see what it sounds like. So let's check it out. So very simple, but it does sound good. So the smooth button activates a gentle compression. Let's have a listen to what this does.
The long way's final.
It sounds like a low ratio with an auto release, just gives it that nice gluey sound, which does sound nice if you want to take a bit of the aggressiveness out of a mix.
Heading for a way to call it back from slowly fading.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that sounds pretty nice. So the calm setting, what this does is it reduces harshness that builds up during in-the-box processing. So if you're getting a little bit of like high mid harshness, bunch of sounds kind of building up, just kind of cluttering those upper mids, the calm setting helps deal with that a bit. Whether it does a bit of like resonance suppression or it just sort of clamps down on a certain frequency range, it does make it sound a little bit smoother.
Heading for a way to call it back from slowly fading. All the ways are not there.
It sounds like it's sort of acting on around that 5K, 6K area of the mix where things can get kind of like shrill and harsh sounding, and it's sort of sucking that down a little bit and smoothing it out. So if you feel like things need to be warmed up and just a little de-harshing, then Calm does a pretty good job of that. Times2 really kicks it into gear. And then you also have your wet dry slider down here, so you can really dial this into taste.
Every single last one. Well, this is just a fucking refuge.
I think this is sounding pretty cool. Felt like I needed to boost a little bit extra highs since we're compressing the highs a little bit. This is a good trick in mastering. Sometimes you boost the highs into a high frequency compressor and it just makes those high frequencies a lot more consistent. Then we've got the tape button. This basically has a warm tape setting and a tight tape setting. And you just use the slider to go between those two settings. So check this out. You could hear if you needed to warm your track up, that does sound quite nice. It's got that kind of 15 RPS sort of sound, and then on the tight sound, it's a bit more like 30 RPS, but there is a lot less thump in the low end as well.
You said your sun is slowly fading. You said your sun is slowly fading.
So that makes a really dramatic difference. So you got to be careful with that sort of stuff, that it doesn't change your track too dramatically. But if your track sounds really thin, that's a great way of thickening and warming it up. I think I'm going to put it over on the tight side. I thought that sounded pretty cool.
You said your sun is slowly fading.
All right, this is sounding pretty cool. Let's chuck it into Unity mode now, and then let's bypass it off and on, and let's see what we've done to it.
You said your sun is slowly fading. You
So it definitely sounds a lot bigger and a lot more exciting now with this extra processing we've done. And we've also gotten some really good loudness out of the track without it falling apart. Let's have a look at where we're sitting at the moment.
You said your sun is slowly fading.
That's pretty loud, -4 LUFS. It's pretty awesome. Doesn't sound like it's falling apart at all just yet. All right, let's push this a little harder and see what happens. Getting a little crunchy there. You can hear it's really biting down on those drums, getting a few bits of distortion. So let's bring it back a little bit. It's not too bad. Like you can hear on the drums, there's a little bit of that saturation. Like you can hear that's really clipping the drums a little bit there. But some people like the sound of that. So that's not too bad. It doesn't sound like it's crunching like it did when we had it just that little bit further. So you could probably get away with it around there. And that's ridiculous. That's around -3 LUFS at the moment. That's pretty hectic. Even if I brought this back down to around 8 dBs, got a little bit more dynamics in there, we'd still be at a good loudness. Let's check this out. That sounds great to me. That's probably the sweet spot on this track. About 8-9 dBs sounds really nice and dynamic, still punchy. And then you can push it and start squeezing it, getting that really loud master. And that's just a preference thing. For me, I'd probably have it around there. I think that sounds really nice. Let's check out some of these filters. Let's put this into Unity mode because these sometimes add a bit of gain. So it's definitely a cool feature to be able to flick between those different filters to hear how the mix might sound on things like an NS10 or a phone and really hear what those mids are sounding like, whether the mix still holds up or whether it just like completely falls apart. Definitely handy and great to have a little mono switch right there so you can hear the master in mono and just make sure it's sounding okay. You also got your true peak and then you can bring your output down to -1 if you're going to do your streaming platforms. Obviously you don't have to have true peak on, but it's always advisable to do at least -1 dB just to avoid any potential clipping once your master file gets converted to the streaming format. You've also got some presets down the bottom here. If you're not really sure where to start, you can play around with some of these and then sort of tweak the parameters and see how you go with that. All in all, I think it's a really well thought out plugin. It has everything you need to give your mix a nice polish, get it nice and loud, get it ready for release. If you're making content for YouTube, content for Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff, and you're putting stuff out regularly, this is a great way to get a quick polish on any kind of mix and then get your content out there. And just like anything to do with mastering, just take it easy. Make sure the stuff that you're doing, all the settings that you're dialing in are improving the track. That's why it's awesome to have the bypass and unity buttons there. You can really make sure the things that you're doing aren't actually damaging the track, they are actually improving it. If you think this looks cool and you want to test it out, there will be a link in the description below. Head over to Musik Hack's website, give the demo a try, see if it's something that you want to add to your plugin library. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below. There'll be a link to my website. I have a range of drum samples, mixing courses. Grabbing any of those is an awesome way of showing your support. And if you are looking for ways to improve your mixing skills, maybe check out my pop country mixing course.